Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from the AAMP.TV mobile studios in beautiful Utah, about 450 miles away from our home base down in fabulous Las Vegas. Look at this glorious scene. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, make sure that you check out thesportscircus.com for all of our upcoming guests, our prior guests, also our podcasts, and make sure that you check out our partners page too. There's some fantastic partners on there, including the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com. And also Legal Shield. Believe me, this segment is also brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even libel and slander. Yes, we just talked about that. We're going to get back into that and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or check them out online for more information at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. And welcome back to everybody listening in on Magic 97.9 FM down in Las Vegas and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, as well as iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Hotel Television. Thanks for joining us back here with two-time Super Bowl champion Tyrone Poole and American Ninja Warrior. There he is.
There we go.
All right, we got to add some of that.
No sound effects.
Everybody watching at home thinks we're trying out for the latest Kung Fu movie, but it's a circus, folks, and we prove it every day. All right, so ironically, the sponsor, of course, for Legal Shield, not the sponsor, but the message from Legal Shield, that is, the message from them talking about the force majeure in the contracts. Very timely stuff. A big round of applause for that.
Yes.
All right. So let's go into the player safety. I want to talk about the player safety from a different standpoint. We'll get to the fan safety in a moment. This is our last segment for today, but I want to talk about the fact that in the baseball stadiums, we have let's just say the regular season, there's 81 home games, right? 162 games a year, 81 home games. All right, even if they cut it in half, you're still talking, 40 home games, thereabouts, right? What do you think, Tyrone, are the risks inside the stadium? If there are no fans, what is the ongoing inherent risk, in your opinion, to the play?
Well, I think the risk, depending on what each league, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, their approach to identifying those that are sick. Now, when you walk into certain places, they scan to see what your body temperature is. So if they're doing measures like that, I think it decreases because you will identify those who are potential people that could pass on sickness. So it all predicates to me what each league is doing to make sure each team in that league is following all the procedures needed to detect whether someone has COVID-19 or any type of sickness. That's the first line of defense. And if they're doing that, I think it decreases greatly.
Okay, I'm going to make 2 points. The first one in baseball, because there's so many games played at home. And let's fast forward to maybe next season. Doesn't matter. This season, next season. My point is this. Even if there's nobody in the fans, there is an inherent health risk, whether it's in Las Vegas. Actually, here, let's go to Los Angeles because there's no baseball team. Well, there is, but there isn't. I mean, there's a AAA team, but that's a smaller venue, et cetera. That's the Las Vegas ballpark. For the Las Vegas Aviators, the Oakland A's AAA team, all right? So let's just go to Los Angeles. Let's take the Dodgers, for example. All right, you have a large stadium, seats 50, 60,000 people, whatever. And let's just say there's no fans in the seats. But what we have is new technology in the stadium. We have 5G technology in the stadium, which, folks, in case you don't know, it is remarkably dangerous, in my opinion, for humans and for animals, as basically it has shown. And so what about the stadium that is geofenced? All right. So in other words, folks, you've probably been in a situation where you've been at a sporting event or something. You said, text hello or your seat number to 12345, and you'll have a chance to upgrade your seats, right? Tyrone, we talked about this yesterday, right?
Yes.
So you've got this marketing net or fence around this event. But let's just say they enhance the technology and they're using 5G technology. There are several companies that are doing that today. Okay, every stadium in America, as they move forward, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever, soccer, they're all going to be 5G stadiums. Now, my question to you is, don't you think, Tyrone, if you are practicing and you're having several games over and over, every day you're in the stadium, aren't you opening yourself up to significant health risk? And this is something that, in my opinion, the ownership, the players union, whether it's the MLBPA, the NFLPA, we're going to get to that in a second, whether it's the NHLPA or the NBA players, right? Don't you think that there is an oversight in the same way that police officers, they wear that microphone thing, that radio right on their shoulder, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's wireless technology. And guess what's happening? A lot of officers have gotten sick from wearing that wireless technology on their body. And the problem is, if you're around this, and by the way, it's a supercharged 60 gigahertz signal, it's very dangerous. Remember, when they turned this on to try it out, 233 birds fell out of the sky. And it's not because they don't know how to fly. My question is, Tyrone, what about the players' safety in the stadiums when they're not even playing the darn game in the first place?
Well, again, when you are exposed to too much of anything, I'll be very simple, but I get back to your question. If you drink too much milk, can become bad for you. But milk at its right, consumption really doesn't make the body, or is really not bad for the body, which if you drink too much milk, they say it makes your bones more weaker. But again, the 5G, like your question, if too much exposure to the radiation that the 5G is giving off, then I do believe that it can increase certain types of ailments that the body normally in a regular environment would not produce. So there are certain things that enhance certain bad qualities or bad things to happen, bad situations. So there have been reports that people have done studies with whether it's rats or lab animals, to where they were exposed to a high dose of radiation consistently in a high dose are the two key components. And like you said, if you are in a situation where it's an arena and you're there 41 games and you're spending 8 hours a day, you will have some type of exposure. There's like a lot of schools. You don't see too many schools that are around power voltage, where the power lines, because there have been situations where students, teachers have developed ailments out of nowhere. But if you go back and look at it, it could be because of the radiation that they're receiving on a high dose and a continuous visibility or exposure to it.
Okay, so let's take this a step further. Good point. Let's take it a step further. Now you've got the players in there in the baseball games. What about the season ticket holders that are there for, in a regular season, 81 games a season? I mean, look, the same problem happens there, because now you've got these fans that are in there for 4+ hours a day for all those games. And let's face it, it's like when you hear you're supposed to take an x-ray once every 2 or 3 years because there's so much radiation. My point is there is significant potential health risk there. What about at Allegiant Stadium down in Las Vegas, home of the new Las Vegas Raiders? What about that venue? What about up in New England at Gillette Stadium? Think about the places that you've played, Tyrone. I mean, look, you know what it's like to be in an environment where you have to go to practice for several hours a day, or you have to be at the stadium for maybe 8-10 hours, whatever that looks like. Now you're exposed to all of that. What's your recourse? What's your insurance? What are the leagues? What are the owners? What are the Players Association? What is going on for safety? What about the police officers of the world out there? I'll tell you what, from what I see, there's nothing out there to protect the police officers that have to wear that radio and that cop cam. It's all wireless technology. What about all that liability?
Now, I'll say this. I'm going to go back. I'm going to bring what I said previously back into what you just, the statement you made. Now, for the fans, now on a typical game, a typical game lasts about 3 hours. And it's probably one day out the week that fan is probably going to go to that stadium. Whereas a player, I think the player is probably exposed more, depending on if where the venue where the game is held is where the team or the players practice, because there are a lot of teams, I know professional football, that they practice just outside of the stadium where they play. That's just a way of them kind of holding in and keeping the costs down. So everything is there. They hold training camp at the facility. So they're there during the duration of training camp, being exposed. And then you have the games, you have the meetings. So you're talking about 8 hours from the time they get there in the morning, which is normally around 8 o'clock. At least that's when I was playing. We got there at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. and we left around 3 p.m. So that's hours of exposure, days of exposure. So for the players, I think the exposure can be greater. The fans, they're probably coming to the game, the venue, one time out of the week for 3 hours. Whether that affects them or not, that's to be determined. But for the player standpoint, I think is a very high risk for the players.
Right. I brought that up for baseball, also for hockey. Because hockey, let's just stick with baseball, because baseball, they practice in the same stadium that they play in. Hockey, they have other facilities. Basketball, they have the other facilities too. But in baseball, I brought it up because there's a lot of risk involved, because those guys are constantly in that stadium, constantly in. And with all the advances in technology that's going on right now, I'll tell you what, a lot of that illness, in my opinion, is being caused by technology, or I should say it's enhanced by technology, without getting into the details of it, the spinning molecules and of oxygen, et cetera. That's another discussion for another time. My point is, folks, look into it. If you don't believe what we're talking about here, it's out there. It's legit. The health risks are absolutely legit. And if you think that you're not at risk walking up and down the street with those gigantic 5G towers, and I tell you, I will have to send you a photo. Email us at info@thesportcircus.com, and I'll take a picture. Actually, I'll send you a picture of one right down the street from our studios in Las Vegas. Let me tell you, man, these are very, very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Now check this out, Sal. Now, isn't like where all of the major causes or cases are? You mentioned the towers. Are those the same places that have those cell towers? The one like New York, Chicago, Louisiana. They have the 5G towers.
Yes, sir. But you see, you got to remember that. In our last minute here, there's a lot of technical stuff that goes on, but we don't have time to get into it. But folks, look into it. It's a lot more dangerous than this alleged virus that we're hearing about, Dr. Fauci. We'll talk to you at some point if you ever decide to come onto the show.
Yes.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here on the Circus, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
So long.